What is going on, guys? We are back for the beginning of season 2 of our Pokemon top 5s. This week we'll be covering Ash's strongest Pokemon. So this list I am super excited for. Currently, the time we're recording this, we are just beginning the Pokemon Journeys Master Top 8. So it's actually all the champions of the regions kind of battling each other, and so I thought this would be a great time to kind of have this list come out. Obviously this list is 100% opinionated like every other list we do, and this list does have a little bit of statistical backing to it, but it is mostly just my opinion still. So but without further ado, let me know if you have a different top 5 list for Ash's Pokemon as well. Of course, also we don't include Pikachu on this list because Pikachu's obvious, right? Like Pikachu is guaranteed locked Ash's number 6 Pokemon, right? So, but yeah, let us hop in to number 5. Alright, so at number 5, we have Snorlax. Snorlax is a Pokemon that Ash caught in the Orange Islands. So this is a Pokemon that has been around since Generation 1, really. And this Pokemon is the one that is Ash's kind of defensive backbone. Ash has been shown traditionally to only really do really well with fast Pokemon that are able to kind of maneuver around quickly and attack really hard. Snorlax is kind of the exception to that rule. Obviously there are a few notable things, like, I mean, Goodrow is pretty good in Gen 6, and you know, Crocodile was pretty bulky in Gen 5, and you know, stuff like that. But Snorlax is really shown to be the one that, to me anyways, was the most consistent, the one that Ash seemed to handle naturally the best. Snorlax is incredibly lazy, but it's, despite that, it's shown an unreal amount of physical defense, special defense. Like, I mean, obviously we know in competitive Pokemon that Snorlax has a very good special defense stat, but in the anime, I mean, we saw this Snorlax take on a Hariyama. Like, we saw it took on a full sumo gym, took on a Hariyama, no problem. Has Body Slam, Hyper Beam, Ice Punch, and Protect. So a very, very powerful move pool, able to paralyze, able to freeze. We saw a ton of freezing from Ice Punch and everything go on with the anime episode. And then we've also seen Snorlax come back in the Generation 4 Elite Four as well. So we've now seen Snorlax in 2 different regions. It has a better win ratio than losses. And so for me, Snorlax kind of represents the defensive backbone of Ash's team. And that's kind of why I put it number 5. There are obviously some other Pokemon that could have fit number 5. I really thought about Dragonite. Dragonite was a very close option for me on this list. I really thought about Sceptile. I really thought about Crocodile. I really thought about Lycanroc. But Snorlax for me kind of represented a larger theme as a whole. And so that's why I made it to number 5. But let us move on to number 4. Alright, so at number 4 we have Lucario. This is a Pokemon that recently has been featured in Pokemon Journeys. So Ash got this as an egg. And like Lucario, like other Pokemon that rely on Aura, it was able to kind of sense and build a connection with Ash before it even hatched out of its egg. So it hatched out as a Riolu. Its bond grew very quickly with Ash, and since then, you know, it's been one of the mainstays of Ash's team. It's honestly been the ace of Ash's team in Pokemon Journey so far. And it's already able to Mega Evolve, control its aura, totally fine. Like we saw in Generation 6, Karina had a very, very hard time controlling her Lucario, and Ash has really had no problem at all. Like the aura control that this Lucario has shown has been absolutely crazy. Unlike a lot of Ash's Pokemon as well, like even as a Riolu, like it stayed out of its Pokemon and walked around with Pikachu and Ash, which is not something that we see very often from Pokemon, and so you can tell just how close this Pokemon is to Ash. Honestly, Lucario could move up on this list. Like I said, we're kind of just starting the Masters 8 when I'm recording this, but so it will kind of influence a little bit, but this, I could honestly see Lucario moving up the list here at some point. The fact that Mega Evolution is a very obvious sign of you having a very close bond with a Pokemon. Because of its aura, it can just read Ash's emotions and thoughts. And so they can sync up a lot better than like just Pokemon that Ash has been with for a long time, simply because they can literally read each other's thoughts. Similar kind of Ash Greninja kind of deal, right? So, but yeah, so I think this Pokemon could very, very easily move up the list. And I didn't really care too much on this list about making sure that there was typing synergy among the team. This is just the top 5. This isn't really, you know what I mean? So, I didn't really look at it and go, okay, well, Pikachu's weak to ground, so I can't have another ground weakness. So for me, I just went with the best Pokemon. This is what I thought was number 4 right now. It's only because of a limited sample size, but again, I think Lucario can move up the list. But let us move on to number 3. So at number 3, we have Infernape, and yeah, so Infernape, I think, is one of Ash's best Pokemon. Obviously, it's been shown in Generation 4 to be incredibly resilient, incredibly willing to put it on the line. It has a supercharged Blaze ability, and so it gets even more powerful. It's one of the fastest, I think it is the second fastest Pokemon on this list that I have here, and is one of Ash's fastest Pokemon, period. And so this fits into Ash really, really well. Infernape was actually joked about in the anime as literally being the same person as Ash in terms of personality. And so it was kind of just really good to see that Infernape was just able to overcome its issues with Paul and was really able to kind of become this ace for Ash's team in Generation 4. And even since then, we've now seen in the Journeys anime that this Infernape continued to keep training. It challenged all of Ash's fire Pokemon in Professor Oak's laboratory, and also went out of its way to challenge a Moltres. Like, it had no fear whatsoever. And so when you add in the no fear whatsoever with just a willingness to always want to be better, and the fact that it has this Blaze ability that kind of gives it the second wind and can kind of come back in any fight, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't want this Infernape on your team. Like, this Infernape would absolutely fight to the bitter end, would get a knockout, even if it cost it everything, right? So, for me, Infernape, you know, Flamethrower, Flare Blitz, Mach Punch, it even kind of still has Dig from Ash, because Ash is super resourceful with his Pokemon, right? He doesn't really put traditional moves on some of his Pokemon, and so this was a perfect example of that. And so for me, Infernape is number 3. Like I said about Lucario, I think at some point, if we keep seeing Lucario, I have a hard time seeing Lucario not surpassing Infernape at some point, just because they'll be able to literally be in mind sync. But I think Infernape is an incredible Pokemon, should be one of Ash's top 5 Pokemon. And yeah, so that's kind of my reasoning there. Let us move on to number 2. Alright, so at number 2, we have Charizard, another Generation 1 favorite. This Pokemon, you know, Ash saved it from being abandoned. This is actually a theme with a lot of Ash's Pokemon. A lot of them were abandoned, and Ash kind of shown through his personality and through his character that they, you know, that he really changed Pokemon's opinions of humans. And so Charizard is literally the perfect example of this. You know, it had a hard time listening to Ash. It didn't really think it was worthy. And didn't really think he was strong enough, and so Ash ended up sending it off to Charcific Valley, and it went to train for quite a while, and then it came back in the Generation 5 anime and had a huge rivalry with Iris and her Dragonite. But now that Ash and Charizard are fully synced up, Charizard has one of the most nostalgic reasons for keeping it on the team. It's literally Ash's best flying type, period. And so for me, it's an easy number 2 slot here. Flamethrower, Wing Attack, Slash, Dragon Tail are its kind of current move pool that we've kind of seen, but obviously it has access to like Overheat. Its signature move from the anime was Seismic Toss, right? So, but yeah, to me, this Pokemon absolutely fits the diversity pool on the list. Really, Charizard has an incredible win-loss ratio as well. Once it actually started listening, anyways, it has an incredible win-loss ratio, and so it's taken out an Articuno, it's taken on a Dragonite, like, it's taken on some wild battles and done very, very well, and so this is a Pokemon that I think Ash would be super comfortable having, and would fit very, very well if Ash ends up having to fight Iris or something. I think it would go it would be a very interesting battle, and I would be very curious to see if Ash would tailor his teams for each individual matchup, or whether he would just stick with his Journeys team. But if he didn't, I think Charizard would be there for that Iris fight. So without further ado though, let us hop in to number 1. Alright, so this Pokemon actually isn't with Ash at the moment. We did see it as a cameo mentoring this Lucario that we saw earlier, but we have Greninja and Ash Greninja. I mean, again, it's very similar to Lucario. Fast, agile Pokemon, able to perform super high-powered attacks, and literally can share a mind with Ash because of the bond phenomenon. And so, very similar to Lucario, like, it can share its mind, they can be in sync, it literally changes form, it gets faster and stronger because of it. And so for me, this was a very easy choice. I mean, we saw Greninja absolutely obliterate the Kalos League, and all of Kalos really once Ash got a hold of this little Froakie. Another abandoned Pokemon too, by the way. So for me, I mean, Water Shuriken, Aerial Ace, Cut, Double Team, this kind of is the motto of Ash's team, right? Aerial Ace can't miss, which is a very useful move for Ash. Water Shuriken gets powered by the Ash Greninja form, and so it's a very, very powerful water type move that you're kind of able to use from a distance, and so that gives range for this Greninja. Double Team is something that Ash has relied on a couple of times. Lucario also uses it as well. We've seen almost all of Ash's bird Pokemon use Double Team at some point as well, and so it has a move pool that's just very Ash. And so for me, Greninja has an incredible win-loss ratio as well. I believe it's actually the best one of like anything that has like more than like a couple battles. So for me, Greninja had to be number 1 on the list. I know it's not with Ash right now. I think if you didn't want to count Greninja, I could very easily see a situation where Sceptile kind of made the list in a number 5 role and move everything else up like 1 peg kind of deal. But yeah, so that is my top 5 Ash's Pokemon list. Let me know if you have a different opinion of the list. Again, I didn't really include or care about type diversity. Like, you know, I think, as I was kind of saying, if you wanted to switch out Infernape because you already have a Mega Evolving Lucario and you already have a Charizard and you don't really need the fire fighting combination, I could see you switching it out with Sceptile. I could see Dragonite as well. Again, Lycanroc was very good. Crocodile was very good. I mean, there's also a Gigantamax and Gengar that Ash has as well. So, I mean, there's some really, really powerful choices. Incineroar, another very good one. Although we didn't really get to see Incineroar battle too much. We only really saw it as a Torracat, so not sure where people would mark that, but I mean, there's like 10 really good Pokemon that you could choose. But yeah, that is our top 5 list this week. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe kind of deal. And I will see you guys in the next one.